right, welcome to the last Well-Fed Wednesdays. I am so excited that we are going to be diving into a topic I think that is near and dear to my heart, and hopefully you all will get a lot out of this one because I think that it's a really important topic that we do not talk enough about. And so let me share my screen so that then we can dive right in. So we are going to talk about when work was your identity and how to rebuild confidence and purpose kind of after federal service or if you're transitioning, all of that stuff. I think that this identity level conversation is one, like I mentioned, that we don't talk about enough, but it's super important. So you know us. So Carol Ann Donnelly, I former IRS, and then Kimberly.
The Young Prior Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency.
Beautiful. Okay. So we have gone all of these places. Yay! And like I mentioned, this last stop that we are taking is talking about when work was your identity. We are going to dive into this topic on these two specific areas that I think are important. We're going to acknowledge the impact of our federal service on our identity, because I think it's important to acknowledge the what is. And then we are going to talk specifically about 5 ways to actually build or rebuild confidence after federal service, just because of the fact that there are some things that happen when you're with your identity when you leave federal service or transitioning out, etc., that I think are important for us to kind of speak to. So we're going to tell our stories because I think it's important for you all to know that know a little bit about our stories. So in December of 21, I left the IRS, and at the time I had gotten all the way up to being the head of coaching for the Internal Revenue Service and really enjoyed what I was doing there, but really felt like it was time for me to move on and do some other things. And one of the things that I did not expect to happen was this whole thought process around in this in-between time, these transition times, how do how do I introduce myself? How do I tell people who I am and why they should care? I think that was kind of my like why should you pay attention to me was kind of the narrative that was running inside my head around how it was that I talked about, hi, my name is, and this is what I do, etc. And so, I would find myself introducing myself in different settings and saying, "Hello, my name is Carol Ann Donnelly. I'm the former head of coaching, for the IRS," because I really felt like this was an important piece of who I was, and I wanted to show people that like I belong in this room. And so there was a part of me that needed to bring that piece into the conversation. And notice like what it is that I'm talking about. I'm saying there's a part of me that needed to navigate that. Today, that has shifted and changed. Today, because of the work that I'm doing around burnout, what I normally say to people is, hi, my name is Carol Ann Donnelly, and I'm super passionate about helping leaders and organizations navigate the work-related things that create burnout, right? So that's how I introduce myself. Notice that there's not a title in there, right? I'm just simply talking about what it is that I'm passionate about. Kim, I would love for folks to be able to kind of hear a little bit about your journey. And I'm actually going to take off the stop the slideshow.
Sure. So similar to Caroline, I was in federal service for over 2 decades, and I carried my identity very heavy with me. It took me probably just under a year to shake it, like to shake that identity that I carried. So, I love the job that I had. I loved coaching more. And so I decided in 2023 to jump. And with that, I knew it was going to be hard to shake the identity because I was a deputy inspector general, which is a pretty important job. But I felt like coaching was so much more, coaching, training, facilitating was more of what I wanted to lean into. And I guess the surprise for me is I didn't realize how this costume was that I put on when I left my house every day. I walked out and I was like, this is what I am, you know. And now it's almost been 2 years. So now I don't introduce myself as a deputy inspector general anymore. Like Caroline, I've kind of owned a different title. I say, you know, I'm Kimberly Young. I'm an excavator of lost dreams and desires and allowing people to live the life they want to live now unapologetically. And so it's much different than having this title. Now, sometimes if I feel that some people are questioning me, I still might bring in, oh, I'm a prior Fed and I did this role. But I think it's like we live it for so long, we believe that's who we are, and it is. You kind of have to leave it at the door. So, um, you know, right now my work that I do is more impactful. I lean into it a lot more. I love what I'm doing. I loved what I did before, but I don't need that title anymore. And I think that's the hard piece is we think we need it and you have to get rid of it when you're ready to get rid of it, not when someone thinks, "Hey, you've been gone for 2 weeks, you need to get rid of that." That's not what you do anymore. But it has to be a personal choice. So thanks for letting me share, Caroline.
Yeah, no problem. So, what's coming up for you all as you all are kind of hearing our stories? I would love, love, love to kind of hear what's coming up. Is this resonating? Hope, I see you're off mute.
I love that. I actually getting ready, of course, to leave. Leaving federal service next week. But I've left. I'm retired military, so I definitely was kind of relating that back to when I retired. I didn't introduce myself as I'm a retired Navy commander. In fact, most people didn't even know that I was.
Yeah,
So, but I love the idea of describing not I love how you put it of the chaser, helping people realize their dreams. That's very powerful to me, and as I move into my next career, I'm going to borrow some of that language
yeah,
myself as I come up with what I'm going to say when people ask what I do and
really
how
good.
I introduce myself. So that was very powerful. I appreciate you both sharing that because
Yeah,
I too am entering the coaching world because I was a coach in my agency. I'm entering the coaching world full time. So
mm,
it'd be exciting. Thank you.
beautiful. No problem. Um, So I want to acknowledge, right, the fact that some of us might feel like, oh my goodness, what if I'm not even at the place where I'm ready to talk about what I'm passionate about? I don't even know what that is, or, all of those things. I'm acknowledging the fact that some of us might not be there. And please know and believe that Kim and I did not, day two, we're like, oh, I know my stuff, and therefore, let me tell you, you know what I mean? Like, that is not what happened. That is not what happened. So, give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to grieve the what was, and create space for the possibilities of what will be as you begin to walk down this road that you're kind of going in. Tamala, talk to me.
So one of the things that has resonated with me so far, hearing everybody, is just the confidence that everyone has outside of, being in federal service. I'm still working for my agency, but at the point of thinking, what's next?
Yep.
Is it staying here and still pursuing the career that I initially set for myself some years ago? Or, I've been thinking about entrepreneurship. So just, going through that initial phase of what's next for me outside of the federal government, but having that confidence to do something side of the service.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And I will tell you, because full transparency is an important value of mine and Kimberly's is that when you step out, regardless of whether or not you're stepping out and going to private sector or you're working on an entrepreneurial kind of thing, know that there will be days when you question, like, am I a crazy person? Like, is there something, there is something fundamentally wrong with me because clearly I don't have my stuff together in this moment. Know that that is completely normal. All of us feel that. Even the people who are faking the funk and, who look like they are completely blowing up and doing all the amazing things and blah, 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 all the things. They too are feeling the exact same ways. And so know that there might be days when there are ebbs and flows to that confidence, but know that there are ebbs and flows to it. And so it'll come back around and you'll be able to be fine again. So wanted to ask this question. So I'm gonna throw up this poll. Well, Kim, could you throw up this poll question? So the question is, how many of you still introduce yourself by your former title when meeting someone new? Oh, people saying nope. Do not. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, so I see that the vast majority of folks are saying no, that's actually not how they're introducing themselves. Yeah, Doris, talk to me. Like, how are you introducing yourself?
You know what? That is such a hard question, Carolyn, because it depends on what space
Yeah.
I'm in, right? There are times when I don't mention it. However, there's still parts of me that feel when I need that credibility piece, like Kim said, I do start out with I'm a former Fed because I want them to understand that I know where you're coming from, right? And that I've had those challenges. And the other thing is that I still wear a lot of the values in my jacket. Um, that helped me survive in the government. And so I'm quick to tell people I still live a SF 86 lifestyle because that's just me. I haven't been able to shake that. So it all depends.
I love, love, love the pieces that you're bringing in because I think that again, notice that we are being really strategic in when it is that we bring our federal service to the table. And I love that Doris is kind of bringing this piece to the table because if you are specifically interviewing for another organization for which you know that they are mission driven, bringing your federal service, and your passion for what it was that you did, or you're connecting, networking with someone who's in a mission-driven organization or a nonprofit or something like that, for which there's a connection point, absolutely bring it in because the fact that it creates connection and it allows people to be able to know that you understand, who they are, you understand what they do, etc. So be strategic about how you think about your introduction and when you bring that in. I know that I still have it in my bio, obviously, again, as a means of telling people that I have the years of experience and the experience in doing what I'm doing. And so I think that we need to be thinking about it in that way. That said, I think that we need to define identity because this identity piece is like in thinking about it with like burnout for me, identity is like core and crucial. And our work as a part of our identity, it's such a huge part that again, I think we don't talk about this identity level stuff. And when it begins to impact us, we begin to kind of wonder what's wrong with me kind of thing. So when we define identity, I really love the definition that Atomic Habits has, and it is the story that you tell yourself about who you are. And I'll talk about another quote from that book that also kind of speaks to this a little bit later. But notice the story that you're telling yourself about who you are. Is your job title all of who you are? Right? Or is that just one piece of who you are? Right? Does removing the job title get rid of all of the experience that you bring to the table, all of the skills that you bring to the table, all the gifts that you bring to the table? No, it doesn't, right? And so I want to kind of disentangle your identity, the who you are, from this title that you have had for perhaps so long, right? The title is not who you are. You are who you are independent of that. And that was an experience line. Okay. So I want to like be really super clear about that, right? So your identity is obviously made up of all of your experiences, right? So where you went to school and what you studied and you know what your first job was, your second, blah, 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 all the things, right? It is also made up of the people, what people have told you is really good about you or that you do well, right? It's made up of the roles that you've had, educational experience, your cultural background. All of these parts and pieces are kind of a part of your identity. And so therefore there's a little bit of, there is a need for an acknowledgement of all of the ways that, or all of the parts that make up who you are and the story that you're telling yourself about who you are. And work is just one of the parts and not the whole story. So throw it in text chat for me. One word to describe how you've felt about your identity after leaving federal service or thinking about leaving federal service. How have you been? One word that describes how you have felt about your identity. Take a look in text chat just to see. How have you felt about your identity? Confused. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. What else? Lost. Yep. Proud. Yep. Yep. Disappointed. Yep. Yep. What else? It looks like we got confused, got a excited. Okay. All right. Okay. So quite a number of emotions kind of going on. And there's a part of me that, or the big part of me wants to just simply tell you that less stress. Uh-huh, I hear you. There's a part of me that wants to make sure that you know that whatever you're feeling, it's okay, right? Because I think that the more that we push away from that feeling and say, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be feeling this, I need to get over it, blah, 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 whatever our stuff is, that the longer that feeling kind of will linger, right? In order to tell us that we need to keep paying attention to this. It's saying that basically this is an important time. It's an important season that you're in, and it's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel lost, right? Because something big just happened, and it's okay. And you won't be here forever, right? Confusion, you know, sometimes a mentor of mine often told me that whenever I am confused, it means that I don't have enough information, right? And so this is an opportunity for you to begin gathering pieces of information in order for you to begin sorting out, what does this look like for me? Um, what direction do I need to go into? What paths make sense for me? And I know that that's probably super overwhelming in the midst of everything else that's going on, but give yourself the grace to do it little by little, right? Doesn't have to be you know, doing all the things. Just do a little bit at a time, then put it down. And then tomorrow, do a little bit more. and just keep doing that. Have grace for yourself, regardless of where you are, and feel whatever these feelings are, because they will literally keep coming back until you acknowledge that this is how I feel. Today, I feel super confused. A lot going on in my head. Say that, right? If that's how you're feeling. So that's what I would say. Today I feel super hopeful, right? Then name the things you feel hopeful about. All of the things. Yes, the grief piece. Grief happens with loss of community. I'm getting there. I am absolutely getting there. So, right, this is probably a ginormous bump in the road. It is a definite detour. We were going one direction and now we are moving in a completely different direction. And so with this, there is a loss of structure. Our days were pretty structured. We kind of, work starts at a certain time, our commute starts at a certain time. We go in, we do this, we do that, then lunch is at around a certain time, depending on when the meetings are, blah, 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 blah. End of day, you know, commute home, dinner, blah, 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 rinse, repeat, next day, right? That was our structure. And there's a need to acknowledge the fact that we need to actually create a new structure for ourselves, create some new cadences for ourselves in order for us to not feel that like crazy unwielding feeling like, what on earth am I doing? Because our days, regardless of whether or not we know it or not, we're so regimented, right? And so there is a thing that even talks about how like doing a little thing like making your bed literally every single day. Get up, make the bed. That creates a little bit of structure in order for you to be able to kind of know and think about like, what does my day need to look like? And then begin thinking about what other structural things do I need to build into my day, especially like during the transition time when you are looking for what the next opportunity is. Think about what is the structure that I need to be creating for myself? When do I need to go to bed, right? Remember boundaries? When do I need to shut off all the things and go to bed? Because that's my bedtime that I need to keep as a promise to myself around how I'm going to take care of myself. So there's also the last loss of status and title, and Kim and I kind of talked about that before. And there is a need to just simply acknowledge the what was, and give yourself grace as you walk through that. Questioning your worth and your value. I am saying it out loud. You absolutely will have those days when you're like, I don't know if I am capable of doing X, Y, or Z thing. When that new opportunity comes, where you look at the job description and you're like, you know, I don't know if I can do this, this, and this. And you have that amazing friend who is alongside of you and saying, okay, so let's just go through this one by one. So have you had project management experience? And you're like, well, yeah. And they remind you of the projects that you led. And therefore, yes, you do have the experience, right? And so inside of that scenario that I just gave you, when you start questioning your value and what you bring to the table, I want you to find people in your life who can remind you of what you have done, the accomplishments that you've had, right? So that then you can remember that, the things that you've done and the value that you have brought to the table. And we'll talk about, if you can't find that person, we'll talk about what you do instead. When you question your capabilities, it's the same kind of thing, right? We need to not have amnesia about all of the things that we did. If you're still with your agency, make sure that you are taking your performance reviews with you, making a copy of them, because this will help with your resume writing and it will help to remind you of the things that you actually accomplished, so that when you have these moments, you don't kind of build up that amnesia. Uh, and then it will be a hit to your confidence, right? Because no one was expecting this, right? And know that that is true. And what is also true is that you're still capable, right? You still have all of the gifts, skills, talents, abilities, etc. And this is a bump in the road. And so therefore you can take all of those things to whatever your next is going to be. And so a book reference that I want to throw in there, and I'll put it in the inside of the resources, The Confidence Code is a really, really good book that if you're really struggling with this, it helps you to kind of have this realization that people who look like they got it all together, like that they too are struggling. And so therefore everybody is, many people are putting on a mask in order to kind of feel like, I'm trying to do the thing. That whole fake it till you make it kind of thing is definitely a real thing. And so therefore, I would definitely keep walking towards the purpose and plans that you have as a means of acknowledging the person that you are becoming and all of those things. All right, so I'm acknowledging that, an emotional roller coaster, it feels like someone's winning because I lost. Oh, that's good because I also feel hopeful. It's uncomfortable. Okay. The reason why I said it's good is because of the fact that you're acknowledging it, right? That's why I'm saying it's good. Um, and in a way, it's thinking about how do we flip that, right? From someone else won to no, no, I am the winner because I get to choose. I get to choose what it is that I'm going to do with this moment, this gift that I've been given. And it is a gift because of the fact that it is a gift depending on how it is that you receive this moment, right? So this could be an amazing gift or opportunity depending on what you do next. And so turning that kind of upside down is the thing that I would throw in there. Yeah, this is a gift. And there's so much other stuff. All right, I'm keeping moving because I'm sure that Kim's like, come on, let's go. All right. So this is from a book called Working Identity, and I thought it was so good. And I did this beautiful visual because I wanted you to understand what's actually happening versus what you might be thinking is happening inside of your brain. And so this quote, it says, "We evolve our identity by taking action, trying new things and adjusting." I'm wanting to be super, super clear about the fact that this moment in time is a pivotal moment for you. It is about what you choose to do with this moment, where your life is going to go. And it's going to be about what actions you choose to take, what relationships you choose to connect into, what you choose becomes the stepping stone for what happens next. The actions you take deliberately are the stepping stones for who you are evolving into. And so I thought that this one was good. And then I also loved this quote from Atomic Habits because I thought it really, again, solidified this thought process around every action you take is a vote for the kind of identity you want to build. Notice that the identity that I had was, the job title. That's what I thought that I brought to the table. But the reality was that I wanted to have a bigger impact on the work life of people. And I thought about my experiences and I thought about some of the worst days that I've had in the work setting. And one of the worst days that I had was series of days. Let's be honest, it was not one day. Was when I was burning out. And I was just like, I want to do something about that particular, issue problem thing. And I don't want to do the things that everybody else is doing where it's just like yoga, meditate yourself into not being burnt out. I'm just like, that doesn't work because when I go back to my desk, I'm still burnt out. And so therefore I wanted to like create a real solution. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to start taking like incremental actions towards like learning and doing and being and walking towards the identity of like being the person who helps to do something about that, right? And so think about what it is that you are passionate about. what it is that you see as some challenges in the world or things that you want to have impact on, and what small steps can you begin to take in order to build those parts and pieces into the identity that you are walking towards for your future. Again, this moment is a gift, an opportunity for you. That's what this is. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about some specific ways that you can build confidence after federal service. And I love this picture because dude is completely dapper and he looks like he has all the confidence in the world. The first thing that I want to say is we need to honor the past in order for us to then be able to move forward with confidence, right? Honor the experiences that you have had. If you don't have that person that is able or knows enough about your federal career and the things that you did to remind you of what gifts you brought to the service, I want you to sit down and take a minute and list out all of the accomplishments that you have had in federal service, all the contributions that you've kind of kind of brought to the table. I want you to just kind of do a stroll down memory lane and think about what all of the things were that you accomplished. Yes, there might be tears. I am just acknowledging it. There might be tears. But my hope is that once you finish the list, there also is going to be a sense of hope and pride that comes when you look at your list because it will give you a real picture of these are the things that I did. These are the ways that I served my country, and these are the gifts that I gave. And so I want there to be a little bit of acknowledgement of all of the things that you did. And this will be a reminder board for you on those days when your confidence is feeling a little hit. This will be a reminder of, no, I actually did some amazing things, and that means that I'm capable of doing amazing things in the future. Next, I want us to think about, how do we want to practice saying who we are without using our former title. Notice that I kind of picked up on this one around like I'm passionate about blah, 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 right? Because it helps you to, in those networking settings that we talked about the last time that Kim did an amazing job kind of outlining the things that we do to think about next opportunities and things like that. When we go to those networking meetings, we need to be thinking about how it is that we want to introduce ourselves and things like that. Do not let this be a barrier for you in getting out there and networking with people. Know that you might not get it right the first, second, 15th time. It's okay. It's okay. Right? The thing that people most remember about folks is the impression that they made, whether or not they were curious about the other person that you're talking to, what questions they asked, whether or not there was a connection that was made. All of those things are the things that really stick with people, whether or not you followed up and did something else. That stuff is the stuff that's sticky. So know that even if you don't, hit it out of the park with being able to practice, this is what I'm passionate about or whatever, know that, again, it's about the impression that you're making and not necessarily about getting this right off the bat. Okay. But I still want you to begin practicing. What questions, if any, are coming up for folks before I move on?
Caroline, I'd just like to add too, like this is going to evolve as you evolve.
Yes.
As you find that next thing for yourself, you're going to start bringing that in. So start somewhere. And then as you develop and figure out what that next thing is, because, Caroline talked about, you might not know what your passion and purpose is right now, So you may come up with something, but as you evolve and you lean more into that, you start living that life that you're kind of dreaming for yourself,
Yeah.
but this may change.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
it's
not a one and done. It's going to evolve just like you.
Yeah, and you and Doris were on the same page. It's not a one and done. And so thank you for bringing that to the table because I absolutely agree. All right. Experimentation is the key, right? I know that there are all the perfectionists out there, right? And I'm a recovering perfectionist who we want to get it right the first time. We don't want to experiment because experimentation might mean that I didn't get it right. And so therefore it's just like, oh, I can't risk that. You are going to need to experiment. And when I say experiment, I want you to begin trying things that might be outside of your comfort zone, right? Go to the networking meeting that you see coming up that you are super terrified about. Know that half the people, the vast majority of the people won't even notice that you were there, but you made it. You showed up. You decided that my goal is to talk to 3 people. Cool. Find out about what they do. Cool. Right? Go into these things with a goal so that you know what it is that you're going there for and you accomplish your goal, right? Um, and experiment with different ways of like both Doris and Kim talked about experiment with different ways of kind of talking about, I'm passionate about this or whatever it is. Experiment. See what lands, whether or not it lights up somebody's eyes or whatever. See what lands and then shift change depending on whether or not it's landing, not landing. Know that, again, it took us a while for us to be able to kind of like begin getting this right and know that we're probably not done iterating, right? We'll tweak it and change it, and it's okay. It's really, really, really okay. So don't be afraid to experiment. I also want you to connect with your other interests that are outside of work. Sometimes the reason why the work identity is so ginormous is literally because there is nothing else, right? We have no passions, we have no hobbies, we have no nothing. Work is literally all that we do. And if that is you, yes, I am speaking to you. What do you love? What makes your heart happy? Find those things. Discover that other piece of you so that in these moments where you go and find the next thing, that job is not all of who you are. You are other things. You do photography. You all of the other pieces of yourself. This is an opportunity for you to rediscover all of those pieces because I think that this is what becomes challenging for when people retire, right? Because they were doing federal service for forever and they retire and they literally cannot figure out what on earth, like, do I golf all day? Like, what do I do? And it's just like, what other parts of you like bring you a lot, like make you alive and make you that you're passionate about? Is it that, serving kids that don't have food and volunteering for something like that or being on a board for something like that, like what brings you joy? Find those parts and begin bringing those parts and pieces to life for yourself. That's what I want you to do so that that next opportunity is not your whole life and it doesn't crush you when that goes away too. All right, so the next piece is this piece around community. You cannot do this alone, right? So finding fellow travelers who are on the same journey and who are doing a similar thing, they might be moving to other careers. What this does is it both allows you to be able to have people who you can kind of commiserate with, and not in the bad main way of commiserating. Like this is not an opportunity to get with the people who are like, this sucks, life is awful. Those are not the people who should be in your community. They will suck your life out of you. That's not it. Instead, You are looking for people who are just like working towards different opportunities. They are the ones that are out there doing the things. They're on the LinkedIn, or they're, meeting with recruiters, or meeting with a resume expert or something. They are actively doing things to move incrementally forward. Those are the people that you want to be with you on this journey. This might be a group of people that you know who are making positive steps forward, for which you're like, hey, can we meet up on Mondays at a coffee house in order for us to be able to just talk about, what are you doing? What are you working on? That kind of thing. That's what you want, is to be able to build a community in those ways. And being able to do like meetups with people who are, again, inside of certain clusters. If you were an accountant or whatever, it might be beneficial to be meeting with folks who were doing the similar things. Same thing with associations, right? They don't need to be government related. They can just be those that are in a certain sector or a certain job kind of title. One of the things that I want you all to sit with and think about, and this is an after class kind of thing. Imagine yourself 1 year from today, after taking, these incremental steps that we've been talking about. What are 3 words that you hope describe you? And actually take a minute, even if it's just one word. 1 year from now, what's one word that you hope describes you? Joyful, love it. What else? Resilient, absolutely. What else? Yeah, yep. We're getting extra votes for those two. I love it. Yeah, right. And so, kind of planning backwards, financially stable. Thank you for saying it out loud, right? With those words describing where you want to go, dedicated. Yep. What are the steps that are needed today in order for those words to come true? Right? What are the words? What are the things, the steps that you would need to take in order for that to be true a year from now? That's what I want you to think about. What are the incremental things that you need to do literally every single day in order for that to happen? Do things that bring me joy. Yep. Every day. Right? And it could be small. It could be taking a walk and literally like little children, right? Finding every purple flower that shows up in the grass, right? Finding hearts that are shaped like stones that are shaped like hearts. Something silly that brings you joy. Do one thing. All right. I wanted you to remember this. You're not starting from scratch. You're not. You are starting from experience. You got a ton of it. Ton of it. And so therefore remember that as you're on this journey, right? Remember who you are. Remember who you are, right? So in summary, your identity is the story that you're telling yourself about who you are. And you are more than your job title and your career that you have. You are more than that. Yes, that might be the things that people, get all excited about. Oh, you were a former blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and what? There was no one on their deathbed that named their title as the thing for which they were the most proud of. Nobody. Right? And so when the story shifts, it's normal for you to feel disorientation. And so know that that's okay. Your career is a meaningful part of your identity, but it's not the whole thing. Honor your past, experiment with new possibilities, reconnect with yourself and with others. And that's how we build confidence. Write the next chapter of your story. This is an opportunity. It's a gift or opportunity. Last but not least. All right, so what's next? I'm going to send you a survey. We're going to, in that survey, we're going to ask you whether or not you're interested in other things that might kind of come up in the future. And what those things might be is going to be up to you all. And so therefore, know that that survey is coming and that's kind of what that's going to look like. And last but not least, what questions, if any, you all might have. Going to make space for that. But for those who are just viewing this with the recording, it has been such a pleasure being with you all for the last 7 weeks. Kim and I have had such a ball. Kim, I'm going to give you an opportunity to just say a final thing, and then we'll take questions from folks who are here.
I want to say, even though I went through the journey 2 years ago, that just going through this 7 weeks, I've learned some different things about myself. And take the time, feel the feels, own it, share it, put people in your boat that are going to get you to your destination, not sink you. And just remember you're not alone. And hopefully you felt the love and the support, at least during these 7 weeks. And please let us know how we were able to help you. That would be great.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you all.